All right, let's give the other stream a chance to get caught up here before we get started. We'll be going over the market, going over today's plays. All right, and then we'll be on to the holidays. So, just so we're all on the same page, tomorrow the market is closed, and then Friday we will close at 1 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so maybe for the non-American listeners, yeah, just know that tomorrow is a holiday and then half day on Friday. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for November 24th, 2021. Qs up 0.32, SPY up 0.26, and IWM up 0.13. Came into today bearish bias. I was thinking we get a sell set up here going into the afternoon, perhaps at the earliest is what I was thinking. Maybe late morning. But we actually gapped down, retested the support, and then got bought. So we do have a little bit of a sell setup right in here that kind of triggered and failed. I think the FOMC minutes were released, and that's what got that little bit of volatility in there. So I think that's fine. I think that's fine to use. I'm just going to opt for today's high as kind of the line in the sand. So Friday morning, if we break above today's high and we hold, then first we'll no longer be bearish if we break above today's high. If we hold up there, then going into Monday, probably going to be more bullish. Okay, that's going to be the line in the sand for Friday is today's high. Okay, we already have a failed sell setup. What I want to make sure we don't get, because we have this declining 20 right above, is that we don't kind of just break out and then come right back in. Okay, so that's why if we move up some more on Friday, neutral. Okay, and then if we hold through the day on Friday, then we'll be bullish likely going into Monday. Okay, so that's the plan here. Hourly downtrend you can see is trying to end. We already kind of retested the support, and that support so far is holding. Okay, daily in an uptrend. Okay, we did bounce off of that rising 20 MA. All right, so going to use Friday kind of as the wait and see if we're going to get follow through. All right, so that's the plan for Friday. All right, SPY and IWM are actually all very, very similar. They got the bounce today and then kind of into an area of resistance. So they're all pretty similar. All right, so today, really only three gaps that I liked. JWN, okay, JWN, PSTG, and the GPS. Those I thought were the only three that I kind of wanted to play at the open and throughout the whole day, really. I didn't find a lot of good extra gaps or extra good patterns. So that kind of started as the three and then really was the focus of the three through the rest of the day. Now, PSTG, I was watching at the open. First, it didn't give an entry. It kind of just took off. I wanted to play this long, of course. I mean, this is fine as a 1 minute high-low. I thought it was kind of weak at first. I thought it was going to come in more, so I was thinking I would wait. And then all of a sudden, it took out that bar. So as a 1 minute high-low, that's actually fine. And then it actually came in all the way and took out the lows. So I didn't want to play any of kind of this double bottom here. So I thought that was a little bit too weak. That did end up holding. There's a nice shakeout right here. And then after that shakeout, you can see then after that kind of got the move going. So never got involved with this PSTG. Pretty good gap though. And I still like it. I think it's good to watch it for a core play. Here's the monthly. Okay, so monthly looks higher. A little bit late, so that's why it's just, if you can find another entry, it'll be one to watch because I think it looks higher. So that was the favorite gap up. Didn't really get an entry in that. Okay, and then GPS, I think, yeah, got bought right away. So got bought at first, and it took all day for it to actually take out the lows. And finally took out the lows and didn't really, got a little bit of follow through, but not that much. So even though GPS was kind of a focus the whole day, it really didn't trigger until the end of the day. So it was kind of a waste of time, honestly, on the GPS. But the gap I liked a lot. So the gap is a little bit too big. Really only need a gap under like 2150 or so. But very bearish gap. Okay, so what did we end up playing is the JWN. Now JWN was my favorite overall gap Wasn't too excessive, clearing the support, really nice looking, breaking down a bit on the weekly here as well. Okay, so I like this gap a lot. I tried it right at the open, right here, on this breakdown, right here. Tried it and did not get filled. I gave it from 23.98 to 23.90 to fill me, and it just dropped and didn't give me anything. So, yeah, so I couldn't get filled on that first play, which was kind of disappointing, but then I just ended up playing on the next time it broke. So, and then I used this kind of bigger stop. I just did it this way. So that, I think, increased the size of the stop, almost doubled it. So that definitely kind of made it harder to get a good target. And then I did take half on around, I think it was 22.70. Yeah, in here. I did take half and then held the rest. Part of the reason that I took some early was because I just felt like with the bigger stop, now the play's a little bit messed up. I'm not going to be able to get 2Rs quite as easily. So I kind of settled for like a little over an R on that first portion. And then just held the rest pretty much till the end of the day. And then eventually it kind of popped at the end of the day and trailed me out. So that was fine. I think overall, good patience on this. So I really was in this for hours. And then finally trailed out there on that breakdown and then didn't want to follow through on the breakdown. So that was good. So I think today, the way that I approach today is how I expect to approach Friday and the weeks to come, probably even into January is my expectation. So just like I've been saying, start with the gaps list. If the gaps list has a lot of things to watch, it'll be probably a more active day. If the gaps list is not that good, and so in the case of today, I think there were 3 good gaps, then, maybe there's not going to be that much to do. So the GPS took all day, finally triggered at the end of the day, didn't really get going. PSTG was really tricky, and then I think JWN, best gap, and then also the best pattern. Unfortunately, I guess enough people thought the same, and which is why I didn't get filled on the first attempt at it. Okay, but, you just want to really be focused on those. There's going to be a bunch of other things, mediocre things. We don't want to trade down to what's out there. Okay? So, start with the gaps list. We give it to you usually 45, sometimes an hour before the open. 45 minutes to an hour before the open. And then we go over it with you before the open to tell you, okay, these are the favorites. These are why they're the favorites. Here are some other ones that are decent, maybe worth a watch. Maybe they fix some issues with the gap. And then, go from there. I think the last few weeks, at least when we were still in earnings season, kind of a lot more to do, a lot more patterns, and a lot more good gaps. Now it's starting to narrow, and then I think the goal is to really just focus on the ones that have a good daily and a good gap. Of course, there will be some that the gaps are not that good, and then they end up working okay. But like, for example, there's a lot of stuff like this, like the MMAT, where, there's a lot of resistance here. It's trying to bounce here, but there's a lot of resistance in the way on this attempt to move up. Let me see. So we had a lot of that. So I don't think MMAT tried to break out, didn't really go anywhere. NNDM, you can see, is a very similar kind of issue with the daily chart there. NTNX, yeah, same thing, resistance in the way. So some of these will work, of course, but I'm going to try and get in the habit, or just remind myself, let's let these things go, because a lot of them aren't going to work. Okay, so that's really the focus. Now, if we had a gap up to like 37.60 or something, then that'd be a lot more interesting. So you look at the difference. So yes, this is a gap up on the NTNX, but look at the difference in what it's accomplishing versus the PSTG. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Clearing of resistance. It's also got shock value. It's been pretty sideways, more or less, on the weekly here, and then resuming that trend. So that's what we want to go after. Okay? All right, guys. Hope you did well today. We'll be back at it on Friday. Tomorrow is a holiday. All right. So have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you on Friday.